everyone. I hope you guys have a wonderful upcoming weekend. This week for the stock market overall was just about as perfect as you can have overall as you consolidate gains. And as you can see, this week the NASDAQ really didn't do a whole lot, down only 0.80%. But as you can see by the price action, let's go ahead and get up closer. You can see that off the lows of the day, we were always able to rally off of them. You can see that we never closed at the low a day, and overall tried to always close in either the upper or middle of the intraday ranges. On the NASDAQ, the Russell 2000, as you can see, the last 2 days especially, very tight trading action. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, perfectly shown there. S&P 500, New York Stock Exchange. So overall, some very constructive price action, and even better, volume was below average during the pullback, and it even came with the pocket pivot point buy signal being triggered in the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ. So overall, everything looks great. There's nothing to super psychoanalyze. The market continues to digest the gains. I would like to see this continue for the rest of August. That would help the 200-day moving average catch up, and that would be amazing. And something that I'm starting to notice too, I'm really, getting interested in what I'm seeing in the gold stocks. NUGT is starting to show some heavy accumulation the past 2 days, so I'd like to keep an eye on that to see if we can't get a little bit of an inflationary kind of rally at the tail end of this possibly big move setting up. And I only say that because there's just so many stocks setting up and bases out there. We don't have any new longs tonight. We do not have any new shorts, obviously, and we haven't gone over any. Well, if there was a straddle discussion in the chat room today, I missed out on it. I know that there are some plays coming up next week, but I'm not prepared for any of them. But overall, it's a good market, even though that there's no new longs or new shorts. There are a few stocks that I want to look at. FXCM, as you can see here, it was consolidating nicely leading up to the little gap higher session and powerful intraday rally. So that gap up kind of, as you can see, it opened at 1720. If you want to use the 1720 level, you could always set a limit order at 1720 and try to get long this stock. I like its earnings and sales growth, and as you can see in the middle of the screen, a lot of pocket pivot point buy signals for this one. So for me right now, on an end of day basis, I'm not interested in it. I want to see it consolidate or pull back to the 50-day moving average and then make another move before I go long. But if it does pull back, that would be great. The entry at 1720 would be valid. I just need to see it tighten up just a little bit before I take it here. It's a little bit volatile the past 3 days. One stock I'm watching closely that triggered a volume move today and a pocket pivot point signal that has my attention drawn towards it is ENV, another stock with some large earnings and sales growth, and that is to continue, or expected, excuse me, to continue into 2014. Coming off nicely at the 50-day moving average. If this thing can continue to move sideways over the next even 2 or 3 days, I'll start to look for a breakout to the most recent highs, but I would like to see hopefully it consolidate the entire week next week, and then of course a breakout right above this line. That's where I would have my buy stop set up. Does it trade enough volume to do a buy stop on its own without a buy stop limit? Yeah, I would say, you could get away with going ahead and just doing a buy stop, so it's nothing to be too cautious about, but that's where I'm going to have mine set, so know where I will be acting, but that's only if it doesn't break out come Monday. If it breaks out on Monday, Tuesday, then I'll have to analyze it on an end of day basis and see if I want to get long. Other stocks that I'm watching, CAAS. This is a favorite with our straddle expert in our chat room. Also, not for a straddle play, but he just likes this stock overall, including this one off the lows, which I am in total agreement with based on the price and volume action. And then also CGen, I notice, is adding on to that initial gap up move. CGen had an extremely powerful gap up on the volume is just absolutely huge. But it lost those gains over the last 2 days, or actually 3 days, even though it tightened up, but volume contracted each day and the price range tightened each day. That led up to Friday's move on higher volume with the higher move in BOP. This is definitely one I have my eye on. I cannot take a position here on an end-of-day basis just because I really don't have a big enough base to work off of. But I tell you what, if you believe the lows have been set in for CGen and the biotechs are going to continue to blast off, this is definitely one to consider. And then the other one that caught my eye was Dish. This is the best technical setup with a tight overall price pattern structure where it's not too volatile. And then another one I'm going to keep my eye on lately, in CLH, is Norwegian Cruise Line holding after its big move on quite substantial volume today. And besides that, RVLT is a partial sell. It is closing below the 50-day moving average, a first close below the 50-day moving average since we went long. And since we went long, we all have over 100%, 125% gain still. And therefore, for its first close underneath the 50-day moving average, you can go ahead and decide not to sell it. But me, I'm going to go ahead and take 20% off because it just... It closed below the 50-day moving average. A rule is a rule is a rule. You can wait for a lower, an eclipse below the 380 level, so close at 379. Then you can go ahead and sell your 20% if you want. The other partial sell is PDFS. It's closing below the 20-day moving average on heavy volume, and I know it has a nice intraday reversal, but the facts are the facts. Price is below the 20-day moving average on above average volume. No emotions, just rules, rules, rules. That's a 25% sell despite it still being in a clear overall uptrend. Okay, that is it. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone. Aloha.